How are you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk, and I want to talk briefly about why no inmate should be allowed to watch an officer do a search of their area, whether it's on a dorm, whether it's in their cell, whether it's through their property. This is a practice that still seems to be ongoing in some states, and I know it's a practice that comes down from the courts, but I'm hoping to express my opinion and open some eyes to the fact that when you have an inmate observe an officer commit to a search, it puts that officer at risk, and ultimately it puts the safety of the facility at risk. So stand by for my sponsors, and I'll be right back, and I'll give you 3 reasons why an inmate should never be allowed to watch an officer commit to a search.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Being a corrections officer takes its toll on even the strongest individuals. The constant need to perform at the highest level, putting your life at risk in a hostile environment, and the mental scarring of traumatic experiences. 31% of corrections officers show symptoms of PTSD, and 66% of people with PTSD also suffer with a substance abuse problem. The Transformations First Responders program is specially designed to help veterans and officers heal from the grips of addiction and PTSD in a comfortable, supportive, and serene setting. You are not alone. If you have questions about the services we offer, give us a call at 866-762-8454 to get more information on this affordable and life-changing program.
All right, guys, thank you for listening to my sponsors. Okay, so the reason why I want to have this discussion, again, the discussion is going to be 3 reasons why inmates should not be allowed to watch an officer commit to a search, is because it's a wide, ongoing practice. When I wrote an article a while back, I thought it was only specific to the one facility, and then the feedback on the article was like, no, our facility does it, our facility does it, and I even heard that in Australia they do it, and again, they believe it's the inmate's right to sit and observe the officer commit to a search, and most likely that right has been challenged by the courts, and the courts had leaned in the favor of the inmate. So, you know, I'm just hoping to open some eyes with this discussion, because you never know who's listening, and the reason why we do these little vlogs is because some people don't have the voice. Now again, I didn't know it was such a problem because my state doesn't practice that. My state actually believes, for this area here, for this concern, that the safety of the facility, the safety of the officer is paramount. But again, the reason why this could have come about is because, and unfortunately I wish I could stand from a high point and say this never happened, but unfortunately it could have been times where officers would have planted evidence. But again, that's the minority of who we are. You know, again, there are some officers that choose not to be professional, and eventually we will weed those officers out. But by committing to this practice that the courts have pushed down on some states, you're putting in jeopardy the lives of the officers who do their job, and that's the majority of the officers, the professionals, if you will. So this is an attempt to kind of sway you back to where we should be. And again, not generalizing from the negative behaviors of a minority, but rather let's start looking at what the majority of professionals do, which is literally conduct searches for the safety of the correctional facility, for the safety of the inmates, for the safety of staff, for the safety of civilians that come into the facility. So obviously right off the bat, searches are one of the top preventive measures to get rid of that contraband, right? Inmates have many hiding spots, and we have to commit to searches, and those searches have to get our 100% attention. So that's number one. Number one is we as officers who are committed to the search have to be attentive to that search. We cannot be divided in our attention. We have to focus on what we are looking for. Okay, we have to check that room out and really strip that room down to its foundation. Break that room up in quadrants and really look at everything, because inmates are inventive. Once they get contraband, even in a small little cell, oh my God, there's so many places to hide contraband. And in the comments below, guys, put down some of the weirdest places you guys have found contraband, because I'm telling you guys, inmates can be so very inventive. So the officer has to be on top of their game. The officer doing the search has to be on top of their game and go above and beyond, because there's experience when it comes to doing a search too, because there are times where officer may find something that he may have found it by luck, or she may have found it by luck, and now the officer knows, wow, this must be a popular hiding spot. So their experience can obviously dictate how they commit to their search. But that's, again, through time, through experience, why we still need our senior officers. We need to get those incentives to keep those officers. So again, you're looking at attention. The officer has to have 100% attention on the search. And it's very hard to do that with an inmate that's breathing on top of them, because that inmate still poses a threat, especially if that officer starts to get closer to finding the contraband, something that the inmate may not want to be found. So now the inmate may wind up becoming aggravated or hostile. So again, this leads to the second reason why you don't want an inmate watching an officer commit to a search. Because first, it's a direct threat to the officer's safety. Officer finds the contraband, the inmate may jump on him. Especially if the inmate's not secured. Some states, they don't secure the inmate. Some states, they do have the inmate out. They have the inmate handcuffed, but they still have the inmate watching the search, and I'll explain why that's an issue. But in the meantime, this would be directed to the states that don't secure the inmate, that have the inmate directly on top of the officer. So again, you got the safety aspect, but also think about this. If I'm an officer and I'm looking for contraband, right, and there's an inmate breathing over me, right, I may start to get nervous because my life's at jeopardy, and now I may start becoming hesitant with that search. I may not want to find anything, because if I do, I got a threat ready to take me out. So with that in mind, that could also put a limit on the officer's willingness to do the job, because you're not protecting the officer. Therefore, if the officer doesn't feel protected, they're not going to go 100% into committing for that search. They're not. Protect the officer's going to do their job. And my third reason, again, it's not an all-inclusive list. If you guys can think of more reasons, please put in the comments below, is the pattern of how we search. Inmates don't need to know or observe how we commit to a search. We may have certain patterns that are based on experience that kind of direct how we do a search. So we're looking at certain areas that the inmate may not be aware we're checking. So now, with the inmate observing where we're checking, they know where not to put the item. So again, it's eliminating our chance to find the contraband, because as we evolve in our search techniques, they're evolving with us because they're watching us. So as we think we're trying to get better at finding contraband, they're a step ahead of us. We're playing checkers, they're playing chess. And that's unfair. So again, 3 reasons why inmates should never observe an officer commit to a search. And again, they deal with the safety and integrity of the facility. First reason was, officer can't be 100% attentive to the search. Their attention's going to be divided. And again, that attention's needed because that's for safety and security reasons. We got to find that contraband because that's what's going to save lives. If officer's not 100% attentive, there's a good chance that that contraband will not be discovered. And unfortunately, officer misses that contraband, who knows what could happen. Second reason is the inmate poses a direct threat to the officer by observing the officer commit to the search. A direct threat, which could also make the officer hesitant. Because think about it, I'm not going to want to find anything if I feel that inmate is going to come after me. We have to protect the officer so the officer can do their job. Got to understand that. And the third is the pattern of the search. Here we are, learning what we could, going above and beyond in our search methods, learning our tactics, and we're just going to give it up. Inmates are going to wind up learning exactly what we do, and they're going to circumvent. And even though we think we're improving in our searches, they know it. And they're actually improving in how they hide it, how they hide their contraband. All right, guys, show is Anthony Gangi. Please like, subscribe, engage. Love you guys. Stay safe.